This is a podcast about the next steps for me, for my company, and for this very YouTube channel. There will be drama. Yes, and there will be some changes happening. And if you are a songwriter, composer, musician, or artist, well, you will want to put this on and just let it play, because opportunity is about to come your way. I'm a poet, and I didn't even know it. So, 4 years ago, I started this channel. It's our 4-year anniversary. I had just finished my master's in composition, and about a few years before I had finished my master's, and I was ready to teach, or so I thought. Be back to that. But the teaching jobs weren't coming. I'm not exactly everyone's first choice for a scholarly teacher with a mostly music producer background. So I was thinking one day, I wonder if anybody online is talking about music income, like a channel called Make Music Income. I've been doing it for 30 years. Why not talk about it on YouTube? And maybe I could teach from that. And so I looked up makemusicincome.com. It was available. I looked at it on YouTube. Nobody was talking about it. Nobody had the Make Music Income thing. So short story, no one was using it, and I took it. So in July of 2021, 4 years ago, I started my channel and introduced the topics I would be talking about. Sync licensing, stock music licensing that I had just found out about, was suddenly making hundreds of dollars a month, artist incomes like booking fees and merch sales, internet music artist incomes through TikTok and Instagram and stuff, and then music publishing and royalties and music production. I was going to cover all of those things, and I pretty much have over the years. And you can see that very first video in the description below, and you can see the entire story of how I built and monetized this channel. I made this a music income, and so you can see that as well. But like my producing career, things have changed. That producing career went from me making and writing songs and working with clients and helping them make albums to eventually it got to the point where I was just producing their songs. I was just a hired gun producing their songs, and that is not it. Not what I wanted to do. And my story of how I transitioned from being a straight up producer and really now just focusing on licensing has been what has made up this channel for the past 4 years. You've been walking along with me. And admit it, you'd really rather hear about my adventures and successes and failures in sync and in licensing than how to build your Spotify, truly, or especially how to be an artist. Nobody seems to care about that. Or even how to be a music producer. Most of you probably aren't going to put out a shingle as a music producer. You make music yourself, and that's what you want to do. And you know, if you were watching this channel, a few videos ago I said, where am I going? I've got to figure out my next direction. I knew that it had to do with, or I thought it might have to do with being a library or something. Will this YouTube channel even keep going? Because, you know, I want to write and compose and produce songs and get them out to places that will use them, especially sync licensing. So today, on our 4th anniversary special, I'm going to tell you exactly where I'm going. Spoiler alert, it's kind of what I've been doing all along, but it will mean some big differences on this channel, and it will mean a lot of opportunity for you. And what will be the big focus on this channel? Will this channel still be a channel? What am I going to talk about on this channel? Well, let's get right to it. I'm going to talk about all of that. I'm going to let it all out. We're going to see where I'm going. Welcome to the Make Music Income podcast. My name is Eric Copeland, and I've made a full-time living as a music producer, composer, and arranger for over 25 years. In this podcast, I talk about making music income with music licensing, music production, music streaming, music royalties, being a music composer, arranger, producer, or artist, or really any way that I have in the past or currently now, or want to make music income. I have free and paid courses and coaching and ebooks for you at makemusicincome.com/free. Make sure to like this podcast if you enjoy the content, because it really helps, and subscribe if you're just finding the podcast or channel and want to be part of things every week. I hope all this content helps you make the music you love to make and make music income. Well, welcome to our 4th anniversary special, and I think that deserves a little applause. Don't you think? I do. I certainly do. Glad to be here. And first, I want to just knock out a few things before we get to where I'm going. And the first thing I want to talk about is the 4th anniversary special things that we have that's ending pretty soon. So it's the 25th of July as of this video. Only for about the next 6 days will this stuff be going on. The Getting in Sync course you can get for just $49 for just another few days. So if you've been trying to figure out how to get in sync, you can do it the way I did. And I go over that whole thing. This is not the end-all be-all way of how to get your music on television and things like that. But this is my way. How I did it, how I focused on it for about 6 years until I wouldn't say it was 6 years, about 3 or 4 years before I got signed. And you can get that just for $49, or you can get the coaching package with that for just $125. And then we have the stock market course, which is something that may or may not stick around. I have reorganized it a little bit recently and kind of put the main ways I think you can make some money in stock, and then everything else after that, which is your own experience, may be different than mine, but people are still making money there. I still make a couple $100 a month, but that's on sale. And then my one-on-one coaching, Move Your Music Forward. Let's talk and find out what you need to be doing, and that is also on a sale at $75. I can also review a bunch of your music for $145, and if you want to get into more advanced things, then we can as well. So that's that. And then the other thing I want to talk about, of course, and always on this channel, Positive Spin Songs and Positive Spin Partners program. We're going to talk about it a lot today, and we're going to talk about why it might be more important than ever that you get involved with Positive Spin Songs. So we're going to talk about that. And by the way, if you are not familiar with Positive Spin Songs, there is a video that you can watch for free, and you can see that. And it just talks about, I have a video on there where I talk about what the program is. It talks about how those splits work and all the kind of stuff that we do. So, and how to get in touch with me if you're interested. Lots of stuff about getting into sync. And this is, you can look at for free. So I suggest you go and take a look at it. Positive Spin Partners will run through this whole thing because of the direction that I am going. I wouldn't say it's a new direction, but it's a firm direction in one place, rather than all of the things that I talk about on this channel. And we'll talk about at the end how the channel is probably going to change. Last week was a big week for Positive Spin because we had 4 albums delivered to 2 different libraries, 3 to one library and 1 to another library. 8, this many people got signed to agreements to get 12 songs from those 8 people into 2 different libraries, and several people got 2 songs in, and it was their first songs ever and first contracts ever. 3 people got songs in. One guy got 3 in, another guy got 3 in, and another writer got almost 10 songs in. Next week, a person signs a deal with me and BMG for 10 songs. The week after that, a different person signs 12 songs to a library. And the week after that, we sign another album. Folks, things are just going crazy with Positive Spin Songs right now. That's part of the reason for today's video. We've had 150 songs put in libraries so far this year. We have 10 to 15 albums set and 116 vocal songs to go this year, several that are going out in the next few weeks. 15 to 20 instrumental albums going out in this year. Folks, we may get between 300 and 500 songs in libraries by the end of the year. And 75% of those songs is with you, is us partnering together. This is crazy stuff. And so make sure you take a look down in the description below and take a look at the Positive Spin Partner. Because if you don't have partners, if you're not working with other people, you're just probably sitting at your little room, like this little room here, and you're working on your keyboards or your guitars or whatever, and you're making stuff, but you're really probably either holding it too close, not letting anybody get in on it. You're not working with other people. You're not exponentially growing and getting songs on albums like we're doing with folks. You want a publishing deal? You want to get songs on TV? You want to do something with the music besides let it sit on your computer? This is music you've been working your whole life. I remember what that was like. I remember what it was like to have songs and want to find that person who said, "Ooh, I like your songs." It was like a mind-blowing moment when someone actually put one of my songs on their album, or when I got that first email 5 or 6 years ago from BMG saying, "We love your stuff. We want to put your songs out." And those songs continue to get syncs on television shows to this day. And so Positive Spin Partners is like having both a library, which we'll talk about soon, and a publisher and a producer who can produce your stuff, because some of you are not able to fully produce your stuff to the quality that we need to put out to these places. No more paying people to produce it and then not having something to do with it. No more having something but having to pay for like websites and stuff. There is a cost to Positive Spin songs, but that's because I'm usually producing everything. But this is a big part of where I'm going. Well, let's get to it. Where am I going? We're going to talk about 4 things. I'm going to split this into 4 sections. Number 1, I'm going to start my own library and sub-library. Now, that's the first thing we're going to talk about. The second thing we're going to talk about is I'm going to continue to need partners, at least for now. We'll talk about that. Number 3 place I'm going to Los Angeles. Leaving on a jet plane, not for good, but we'll talk about that. And then the 4th thing I want to talk about where I'm going is where am I going with this YouTube channel? What is happening with the channel? All right, so let's talk about the thing that you're all wondering about. I'm starting my own sync library or sub-label. It's really more of a sub-label than it is a library. But these are basically the same things. You have a place where people can come and find your songs, and music supervisors come in and they come into a library and they do a search, just like they do with my songs at BMG and soon with Warner, because I'm part of a library that is putting some songs to Warner Chappell. And or any of the libraries that I'm with, they go to those because they trust them, they know their quality is high. And then they do a search for the kind of music they want. They find it, and then they pay for it, and then they send off cue sheets and you get PRO money. That's how it all works. It's another video. There's lots of videos on my channel about that. But a month ago, I was talking about, should I be a music library? But I had real reservations about doing it. Number 1, I didn't want to get into endless paperwork, and I didn't want to get into so much moving and shaking and networking, which I'll do a little bit of, but I didn't want to not be composing and sitting in here all day working on music and composing and arranging and producing the songs for libraries. I didn't want to get out of the creative side of things. It's not what I wanted to do. But after the last production music conference, and we'll be talking about that here in a minute, and I went to it online, by the way, I met someone who loved the quality that we were producing. And after getting back in touch lately, he invited me to start a sub-label inside his company. Now, this is a large boutique music library doing custom and catalog music for film and television and trailers and advertising. And they have multiple sub-labels, also known as label partners, within their bigger catalog, which is pretty big. Each focusing, all the different sub-labels focus on different things, and we will too. And after discussing it for a while, we decided to use the name of my music label I started for producing back in 1997. That means we're just about headed to our 30th year as a label, and the name of it is Creative Soul Records. And some of you know it already because you're on it, because you have been part of it. And some of you have been just tangentially part of it. Some of the artists now that I'm pitching are also releasing singles under the Creative Soul Records banner. So it made perfect sense for that to be the name of my sub-label. And so that site, that YouTube, will all go through a little bit of metamorphosis here. It's been Creative Soul Records has been hanging out for a few years as like the home base for my artists that I would produce. But now it's getting ready to make a big comeback and become a sub-label for a library. Now, what does this mean? What does this mean? Well, first of all, the coolest thing it means is no oversight on albums. In other words, I make what I want. We make what we want. I find some music that I like or that I want to work with, and artists I want to work with, and we decide what we want to make. We make the album, and I don't have to pitch it to a library. I am the library. I get to just put the song into that library, no questions asked, because they trust my quality. They trust my music acumen and the background and all the albums and songs they've heard before. They trust us to put up good records. So I'm going to be doing that. There's going to be no pitching. I won't have to pitch to them. Well, at least not to this library. I'll still have to pitch to my other libraries. The quality and production will be the same as Positive Spin songs and Master Score music. I'll still kind of think about all of what I do on the production music side as Positive Spin songs. But the other thing I will have is quality control, of course. I will be doing my own mixes, and I will decide when the mix is right and ready. I won't have to get another label or another guy or somebody at a company to tell me, yes, those are good, you can put them in. And I don't have anybody else mixing my music at the library, which happens from time to time. I'll either be mixing or I'll have my engineers mix or both. And we'll mix all the songs and stems and be 100% in charge of quality control. The other cool thing I can control and trust the quality of is artwork. I can make the artwork for each album, which I love to do. And I'm not always crazy about the artwork on some of my albums. And that is just that's not in your control. If you are putting songs into a music library, they get to choose what they put into the music library. So I have to live with whatever they do. And again, similar things like if they decide to make other mixes or do other things. Now, to some extent, you're not going to be able to be in control of your music in sync, licensing, and production music, because they're going to take your song and do whatever they want with it for the TV show. They're going to put it in the TV show, and they may just decide to use the drums or just to use, some cut down version that they make with the stems. You can't control that. So I get to control the mixes and the artwork, which is big for me. Here's another very cool thing. Many of you know who have signed contracts, and all the contracts we signed last week are perpetual. That means we never get those songs back. We never get those copyrights back. We're always the writers, technically, and we are always paid the royalties that we sign in the contracts. But they are forever deals because these places are bigger places and bigger houses like BMG and places like that. But this deal is not. It's a 3-year deal for me. Now, I don't know what that means for my co-writers, but here's what it means for us in general as a label. We could, after 3 years, take those songs. Haven't done enough over here? Fine. We can take them and we can pitch the entire catalog over to BMG, or we can take directly to Warner Chappell or directly to Universal, and we'll have our own library and keep all the royalties that we had and become a publisher for someone else. So it's our catalog, my catalog to take after 3 years if I want. I don't know if I could find a better deal than that, where I can build a catalog for 3 years and then be able just to take it if I mutually agree with this library that it's not working. I've done that before. I'm not afraid to do it again. I'll be doing it lots next year with some stuff I put in 5 years ago that I'm about 5 years in that I get to pull a lot of material out. So I will be doing that soon. This is a little bit of the downside is I'll have to do some marketing. They're going to do some, but I need and probably will do more marketing of myself of this new label, this new library. And I'll be doing YouTube videos for each album. I'll be doing Instagram and maybe TikTok and an email list. My goal, though, will not be to show it off to you. It's not that I don't care about you. As I've said, I don't need to be popular with the world. I don't need to be popular with YouTubers. I need to be popular with music supervisors, with sync agents, with people making decisions for TV shows and things like that. That's who I want to be popular with. So my marketing will focus on them and not on me. And metadata, I'll have to do a little bit more of that in this particular case. Usually that's done by the library that you get assigned to. So that's not a little bit of work. That stems is a lot of work by itself, but metadata is also work for every song. But I do that all the time now. I've been doing it for 5 years with stock music. You have to be very good at metadata in stock. So I've been doing that already. Now, here's what having my own sync library doesn't mean. It doesn't mean that I'll be leaving any of my current library partners that are very fun to work with, especially the ones like my BMG library that gets me probably the majority of my placements right now. I'll still be working and pitching albums and album concepts to them at all my current library partners that I'm serving right now. We produce way too much to just put music in this library that I'm making. There'll be a lot that we produce in there, and likely it'll be stuff that's very near and dear to my heart, stuff that I find and love and curate, stuff that I write, of course, and albums that I'm making that I don't care if a library likes or not. I'm putting it in there because I think it's great. That's another just big, huge plus of having your own sub-label and library. And so you might be asking and thinking right now, so how, pray tell, can you be part of this new label? Positive Spin Partners. Excuse me. So yes, this is where the Positive Spin Partners program comes back in. This is the people who are writing with me now, the people who are thinking about it. I have probably half a dozen to a dozen people right now I'm talking to about being part of the Partners program in some way. And either in songs, I can write songs for people, I can produce for the people who write songs but can't produce it, and we can co-produce for the people who can produce tracks and then give them to me about 80 to 90% done, and I can go in and add what I need to add and we can be done. And that will stay the way it is until it doesn't. Daydreams Matthias says, on the new way with the sublabel, do you expect a higher workload, or is it more of a rebalancing of workload? Well, no, it's no change in the workload. We're going to be having 20 or more albums going at the same time. We have that now. Folks, I have 20 albums at least all going on right now, and more scheduled than that. And we get asked by libraries to do other things all the time. So I have a workload that's going to stay. What this will allow is for us to really continue to pour our hearts and our desires into the albums without 100% focusing on this library wanting it. Will this guy say yes? Will this library say yes? What if nobody says yes? And we know it's quality. Well, we'll have a label to put that on. My personal music, I have 4 or 5 albums that are in about halfway done or more that may or may not suit the libraries that I have. And I still want to put them in. So I will have something. Becky says, this is a good question. Is this new library going to be beginner friendly? You know what? I think all libraries are beginner friendly. I mean, to some extent, my BMG library was my start in, I would say, the big time in sync licensing, where my songs through them were getting into TV shows. So absolutely, Becky. When you send me songs, we start working together as partners, and all of what I do. I have been beginner and friendly since the beginning of my career. I've been working with indie artists and songwriters since the mid-90s. If anybody is beginner friendly, it's me. So it doesn't really matter where you come in. If you can be at one end of the spectrum where you just have an idea for a song. I mean, you don't even have words or melody or chords or anything. You can be a positive spin partner and work with me eventually towards getting stuff into my library or any of the libraries I work with. All the way up to someone who could pretty much put stuff to libraries yourself, and you already do, but you want to get in more libraries. Well, this library and all the libraries I work with are like that. So the answer is yes, 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 absolutely. Okay, now let's keep this moving here. So I am starting my own sync library. This just in, if you're just joining us, starting my own sync library and sublabel. You can go back and watch the whole conversation. More about that, obviously, as it comes. It literally will not be online until November 1st, because that is the next time that they are putting new stuff in. So right now, it's looking like November 1st. But the albums we're working on right now could be part of this sublabel. And as far as how it pays, who knows? It's going to depend on its placements, how it gets placements. But it's going to pay you at least as much as you make now in the deals that we're putting into libraries. And it may even make you a little more, because I'm going to be a little bit, have some income from the publishing side. So I might be able to even give out better deals on the writer side. But speaking of positive spin partners and how that's going to work, there's going to be likely some changes coming to positive spin partners. You have to understand that positive spin partners, because I am working with people on a monthly basis, I've basically gone from being a music producer for people who want to make music to put on Spotify, or before that, make CDs. And they need music, they need help marketing their music. I'm still doing a little bit of that, but that's kind of going away. Now, my production work is for sync. I'm helping you produce your music and we co-work on it together, co-write it in most instances. And then I say, we got a country album. Do you have anything? I've got a song that's kind of like this, and I help you co-write it. We co-write it. I produce it, all that kind of stuff. Positive spin partners, for the most part, pay me. This is my income. My only income. It's not this YouTube channel. I'm telling you that. I won't even get paid this month for ads, just because I haven't been putting enough videos up or something. You barely make anything from ads, or at least I don't, because I have a very specific audience, and I'm not super widespread, so that's okay. But my income for now, I don't have another job. I don't have any other thing I do except produce music, and I have clients who pay me to produce for them and work with them every month as part of this program. Lots of different ways we can do that. We're not going to get into that now. But Positive Spin Partners is my job. It's what keeps me in this chair, and we're just working on albums all the time. We have a lovely meeting at 11 o'clock on Monday mornings where we talk about what we got done last week, what we're going to be doing this week, and what's coming, and all the projects that we're doing, and what briefs that I've found or albums that have been requested, and how you can be part of that. It's a lot of fun. We co-write and produce together. But the change may come as libraries start to pay me, instead of the artist paying me, a library is paying me, or a library is paying me to produce a song. They're either paying me a fee that doesn't affect any kind of sync or royalties or anything, or they're buying out or partially buying out the sync part, and then I keep the PRO part. So that kind of thing is possible, not necessarily with my new label, my new sublabel, but at least not yet. But that is what we're starting to see. And I've heard people talk about that you should not give your songs to anyone who's not paying you something up front. I don't know if I believe that. Again, that's another video. But as that happens, as I get more money up front to make albums, then I will rely, and then later royalties increase and my quarterlies increase, because we're dumping now, putting so many songs into libraries, hundreds of songs a year, maybe more than that. Royalties are going to increase. And in a few years down the line, retirement will become a thing for me. I'll have some retirement money, and I'll have royalty money, and I'll have libraries paying me to do albums. Then the positive spin partners thing might change. Now, the good news about this change for you is that there won't be a need to charge clients as much, or maybe anything. The bad news is I will be much more picky on who I work with. This is where, Becky, if you are a beginner, then it's going to be tougher for me to work with beginners where I have to do everything like I do a client and charge you money. And if I'm not having to charge money to do work, then I better love the music. I mean, I better be just completely over the moon about the music. And I have some of that coming in, stuff that I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. And I have many people I work with and artists that I am helping put their albums out that I just love what they do so much that I just want to do it. And so when this becomes, a thing where all that money is coming in, then the positive spin partners thing will change. But I will tell you this, I will always need co-writers, libraries, sub-labels. Everybody needs partners, even me. And there's just too much music to make, for one thing, for me to do it all by myself. So I'll always need co-writers. I'll always need partners. And the good thing is, those of you who are paying me, or if you come onto the program and you're paying me something per month to develop 1 to 5 songs a month, however many songs we're developing, then eventually that could go away if we have a great working relationship, because we still have to make a lot of music. Now, there are some libraries that you work with, you don't have to pay them anything. They're not helping you with production. They're expecting it to be top-notch, high quality before it comes to them. So they're not doing what I do, which is pretty unique in actually producing all the stuff. And I do that because that's my background. What makes me different than almost anybody else you see that talks about production music or sync licensing or whatever is the fact that my life was as a Nashville music producer, working with players and working with engineers and studios, and that's my background, and we're still doing that. I would say 30 of the songs that we released, if not more, last week were country songs that I cut in Nashville with players because of my relationships and because of my production skills and the way I know how to put all this together. So I'll always need co-writers, but somebody's got to pay. If we go to Nashville, somebody's got to pay for that. And a lot of the partners did pay for that and are part of that. So the changes will be good and bad. I might be able to work with less people, but I will always work with people that I love to work with and create great music with. So that is that said. Now, let's see if there's anything in here. One question, Love the Fishing Rod says, can you outsource the administrative work for your registered business or do it yourself? Somebody's already recommended me a metadata guy. So it's possible. And it's possible. I don't think I would outsource art because I like doing it. And I won't outsource the production necessarily. Although at some point I would love for my engineers that I have in Nashville to be working for me more and be making some income from this and be getting their own pieces of the pie and the royalty streams. So I do have people who can work for me, but I will tell you for now, everything related to my sub label and library, I will be the one making sure the quality is high all the time. I will always be that guy. I will always listen to every song and probably mix and or master every song before it goes out, just because right now I got to make sure the quality is where I want it. It's always been job one, and it's still job one. Before you get to quantity of songs and a library, you better be making 1 to 5 to 10 to 20 great quality songs that are great when well produced. And that's what I find that most people don't have. Now let's talk about something that is maybe a little sad. Where is this channel going? Where am I going with this channel? Okay, so first of all, the channel isn't going anywhere. The question, though, is how many videos will I be able to make? As you've seen here, it's been a little hit or miss the past few months on if I come out with a live video every week. I love doing the live videos. Love it. Glad that 28 of you are here and many people watch and ask tons of great questions. And it's so much fun for me to do. It's just fun. And it lets me kind of do in an hour what used to take 4 hours, which was to put a great video together, if I have a good script and if I just don't ramble, which I am want to do. I'm a rambler. But how many videos will I be able to make, and what will I concentrate those videos on? Probably what I'm going to concentrate this channel more on is, and it always has been, since the 5th or 6th video, you could tell the priority here on this channel was sync, licensing, production music for libraries to use and sublabels, like I'm going to be. But that's what I've been really talking about mostly on this channel. And probably, and raise a hand or give a like right now if you're here for sync licensing. If you're here now for it, either give the video a like if you're watching later or even right now, or give me a thumbs up in the chat and tell me, yep, that's me. I'm here because of sync licensing. Most people are. Most people aren't here just for general music income. So I'll primarily talk about sync and my journey in sync as both a composer, as a partner with other composers and songwriters, and as a producer, and now as a sublabel and a library myself. And because of the library stuff, I'll be talking about publishing probably a little bit. I'll be talking about tools I use. When I find a new tool to use, I love to talk about it. And when I hear new news, like the recent news I just put on the site about the bill that was released that allows you to write off $150,000 a year towards music making, that's pretty cool. You always could, obviously, but they've changed a little bit of it. I'm not going to get into it now, but that's some news I put on the site. You can just go look at the site on the posts. I put some news about that. Eventually, I'll be talking more about sheet music and that side of publishing because that is still something I want to get into. It's probably later on. There's also a lot of music that I want to put in my library that could also have a sheet music component, an orchestral, live use component, and possibly stock music. I don't know. To be honest, folks, you've heard me talk about stock music just a few videos ago. It's not where I'm concentrating. I'm barely looking at it, and I'm not putting any more up there right now just because I don't have time. All these albums we're making are going to... There are some super high-end stock libraries that we are serving right now, but I think of them, I'm treating them more like sync libraries. So I'm making albums of that sync quality for them. So, but they aren't things I want to talk about here on this channel. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on, is mostly the sync and publishing journey. The changes that are happening is I'm not just going to be talking about music income of all kinds. Probably not many of you are here anyway to talk about Spotify, except Cloud9, who was just talking about it. I won't be talking about artist stuff because artist stuff is the worst performing stuff on this channel. Artists just do not watch this channel. And I thought I could be someone to talk to artists, but it just hasn't worked out that well for this channel. No more courses or ebooks, at least no new ones. The stock course may go away just because I'm afraid it's becoming a little, it's not outdated. All those sites that I have in there still are there, and all the ways you get into them and get paid from them are all still there. So officially it's still a thing and it's still right. I just don't want that to be the focus of this channel, is selling courses. I'm not an ebook or course seller. I had ebooks planned for music production. I had ebooks planned for royalties. And I just, there's other people doing that. And like I said, much or less or nothing about stock music, a little bit. Could there be a name change other than Make Music Income? Well, maybe. I don't know if there's a reason for that. I started this podcast today with how I thought that teaching more after my master's in composition would be a music income stream. But what had happened was all the master's degree did was make me want to compose more, not teach people about composing, but actually be the composer. And so that is still my direction. As much as I am co-composing and co-producing with other people, still, you have to know that my goal, my first best destiny, is to be a music composer and a producer of those compositions. Listen, I tried teaching. I started this YouTube channel. I taught for 2 or 3 years at a local recording school. And while I know it was valuable for some students, ultimately, again, it's not my first best destiny. Honestly, I know in my heart of hearts, I need to make more music and probably teach less. But through this channel and also through my Positive Spin Songs channel, my Creative Soul YouTube channel, those are going to have some bits of what I do. I can teach by doing. And this is, I think, the best way you can teach. By showing you what is working and maybe reporting about that, or just showing you what's working, showing you what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. Just like I did at the top, talking about Positive Spin Partners and throughout about the success we're having. How are we having that success and why? And I think that is ultimately more valuable than courses on music production or royalties or whatever I was going to do for people who are already getting that somewhere else. There already are people doing that. I need to teach you by being me, by being a songwriter, a composer, a producer, and getting out and being, and now a library or a sub-label, whatever you want to call it, and working with all the libraries I work with. I need to teach you by being that guy and being that conduit, and then you can learn from that. And it doesn't matter if you're a beginner or a pro. You can learn from seeing someone else do something and saying, oh, I want to follow his path of doing that. And I've got the Getting in Sync course, which is only $49, available if you want to look at that. And folks, please take advantage of the sale. I am starting my little Los Angeles PMC piggy bank right now to afford this trip. It is a lot. My wife and I had a long conversation this morning about how we need to structure the next few months in order to get me there and back. So there you go. There are the changes. Becky, where do I go and see the sale? Good question. And I'll show you. Easiest thing to say, Becky, is just go to makemusicincome.com. And you can go right to the stock market course. But it looks like this. When you get to the page, you'll be able to go and do the sales. But yes, I may not have mentioned that. Go to makemusicincome.com, and that will lead you to our courses, and that will lead you to everything, and you can see it there. And please email me also, Becky, if you have any questions. Simeon says, I will sure. I got a confidence boost after I composed for a movie and will premiere in UK. Yeah, nothing like that. No, there is nothing like getting that first thing or that first email and that first thing, all of that. So it's just having someone that comes along and says, email me. I like what you're doing. I just had that happen to me. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, I had a new connection at one of the big 4 production companies. And the vice president emailed me and says, I'm interested in taking albums from you. It happens even to me. It just happened to me. And this is 10 years into my journey in sync. These kind of things, these emails, they excite you. It's amazing. And so absolutely contact me and let's get in touch. Source 4, yeah, absolutely. Email me and let's talk. Lola Fishing Rod says, this is an uplifting channel. Well, I hope so. Thank you for all your questions, Lola Fishing Rod. You do a great job asking questions here in the chat, and it's very nice to have you here. Simeon said he cried. Yeah, definitely. I've had those moments where you see your song on TV and you're just like, wow. You know, some of the placements are like, you'd have to turn the TV completely up to hear it in the background because it's just totally playing in the background. But those upfront placements, that's nice. Well, all right, everybody. I think that's about it. Again, thanks for watching. There is free stuff too at makemusicincome.com/free. So go there and get that stuff. That's for you, Becky, and certainly for anybody watching today's video if you've been with us here. So happy to have 30 of you here. If you have any questions, either put them in the chat here in the next few seconds, or you can put them in the description below. I really appreciate everybody being here today and sharing all this news about where I'm going. And remember, the Positive Spin Partners Program, this is the lifeblood of this channel. It's going to continue to be the lifeblood of this channel. Partners. You need partners. You need someone to do this with. You cannot do it alone. I don't care how talented you are. I'm talented, but me sitting here only gets me to a certain level. Could I and have I put stuff out to sync that I've produced completely by myself in here? Yes, but it's probably 10% of the stuff of the hundreds of songs that I've got into libraries. And by the end of this year, I should be up over 500 songs, and or just single songs, not counting all the mixes and stuff. But I should have hundreds of more songs in here, but it won't be because of me by myself. It'll be because I'm like a man with his hair on fire. If I had hair, I would be that guy, because I am like literally going to everyone and saying, be my partner, be a partner, be a partner. Let's be partners. Let's play. And so I know what you're thinking, and I know that you're sitting there somewhere in the world and you're saying, I can make music. I want to be part of this. I love the idea of music beyond TV. And I keep telling everybody, the reason why I focus so hard on this now is I think it's the best thing. I think the whole Spotify game, talk about stuff that's getting overrun with AI. I just put 2 artist stuff up there, and they're getting, a dozen plays because they just don't have the money or time and neither do I, to do a lot of marketing to force people to go there and listen to them and their new stuff. And Spotify is showing AI stuff to everybody now. So, and not many artists are going to get out and actually be artists live. And so what does that leave? To me, that leaves making great music, being part of a great music team, putting music out that hopefully might even get into television shows or movies or commercials or all sorts of stuff. To me, that's very exciting. And Becky agrees that that's very exciting. You are welcome for this live stream. Thanks for being here, everybody. I'm going to sign off and go make music now. So have a great day, and we will see you next time here on the Make Music Income podcast. Thanks very much. See you next time. Bye-bye.